Hey guys, I had several videos I was going to do today. I was going to talk about some of this trucking shortage and stuff like that, but really what's more pertinent right now is the fact that the Fed looks like they're probably going to raise the rates here starting in the springtime. They're making their decision tomorrow, which by the time you see this video will be today, because I'm doing this Tuesday night. The decision comes out Wednesday, so the decisions everything should be announced today. But it looks like they're going to raise the rates. This is actually a policy that I agree with, as far as if you're gonna have the Federal Reserve, then the rates need to be higher, and it does help us control inflation. Is the theory, anyways. There's a decent argument that we should be done with them entirely. There's a decent argument that we should get rid of inflation entirely by creating more of a decentralized token, something like Bitcoin, right? So there's ideas of this, or we can certainly control inflation a lot more if we go back to a gold standard. Again, there's lots of different arguments on these. Nobody really knows what the answer is, and there's economists that have an idea. There's people out in this world that have an idea of what they think is going to happen. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. There's lots of channels that we listen to. Y'all that listen to me probably listen to Economics Ninja. You listen to Heresy Financial, yeah. Isn't that the one, Heresy? I think it's Heresy Financial. I think it's the name of the channel. Anyways, you're listening to some of these people that are out there a little bit more fringe as well. And there's obvious ones at CNN where, the problem with the ones that you get from CNN and Fox News is the person writing that article is 23 years old. They just got out of college. They have a master's degree in journalism, and they think they know something about the economy. And that's where I run into the problem for the mainstream media, is they tend to think they're an expert on, right? You watch Fox News, Geraldo Rivera is horrible about this. He thinks he knows everything about everything, and it's really super obnoxious. And these people writing these articles really don't know what they're writing about, and because it has Fox News or CNN or CNBC, people take it as an authority. So be very careful about watching those mainstream ones and getting your information there. You can get information there. You just have to realize who's writing that, and their intent is to get you to come back tomorrow. So fear porn works very well in that. If the Fed raises the rates, here's what's likely to happen. We're likely to see a decrease in housing. If they go in housing purchases, if they raise it astronomically, you can see a crash. So they have to raise it just enough so that the interest rates don't go up too terribly high, and we stay equivalent to where we've been the last couple of years. If we do that, then I don't think that will actually have much effect. If it does affect the inflation rates, it will certainly be beneficial to do that. We definitely probably need a higher interest rate than what we're doing now. There's arguments out there that 7% is the ideal one. Somebody mentioned the other day in one of the comments that the founders our founding fathers had an idea of a 30% interest rate was healthy. I have never seen any evidence to substantiate that, so I don't know, but I thought it was an interesting idea. Anyway, so bottom line is that number is not magical. There are certain numbers that work, and it looks like 7% from everything that I've seen. That seems to be about the best number that we should be heading for. What that does, though, is it does increase the price of buying a house. But right now we're getting into a lot more house than we need, and the average house is up about 1,000 square feet from I think the last study was done, I want to say in the 70s, may have been the 80s, but we're up now about 1,000 square feet bigger on our housing than what we used to buy back in the 70s. So that's a substantial. Now our family size has not increased, but it's just what we view as a need has increased, and so that's where we're running into kind of this whole American consumerism idea that we need to just go out and buy everything. So how can you, I guess, prepare for this? Well, if you're going to buy a house, now's certainly the time to do it and get that lower rate locked in. But in reality, guys, this should hopefully curb some of the inflation that we saw this year. Like we talked about on this channel, I know they put forth 6.7% or whatever percentage they're putting forth. The real numbers are going to be closer to 12, 13, 14%. That's just what we know is that they're not including the actual raw data that's required to do this calculation, and they're excluding things that went up astronomically, like food, housing, and gasoline. So the bottom line is that with those things out of the calculation, the inflation numbers from this year are not accurate. If they can get those numbers reduced, then they can come back and they can say, see, we told you inflation would be transitory. And I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they either want to say that inflation was transitory, or they want to control it so that next year they can report numbers that are not as bad as they were this year, so they can say, look, we're coming out of this inflation. It was just a transitory thing, and so they want to be able to just, at one point or another, they have to be able to report next December that the inflation was not as bad as it was this year. And they're going to do, I think, anything they can to get us to that point, because I think right now there's a lot of pressure from the Hill to be able to do that, from both sides of the Hill. Nobody likes high inflation numbers. So anyways, guys, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of this tomorrow, and we will probably end up doing another video on this tomorrow, depending on what their decision is and what they talk about with the rates. Guys, there are a lot better channels than me out there to learn about this stuff. Like I said, I have a baseline understanding of it just from running businesses for years and working in the real estate industry. But there are guys a lot smarter that know much more about this. So you should really go check out some other channels on this and get their feelings on it. I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts here real fast. I'm sorry, I keep looking down because I'm looking at my computer screen. But anyways, we'll like I said, we'll touch base on this again probably tomorrow, either very briefly, depending on what the decision is, and then we are going to talk about this. There's some travel restrictions going on through Canada right now. We're going to talk about that with the trucking industry and how that's going to come back to bite us in the ass. So anyways, guys, really appreciate y'all watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow.